You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionFit.com. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Monday, time to commence another broadcast week here on the old Options Insider Radio Network. My name, of course, Mark Longo, coming at you from the website as well from the aforementioned network. Reminding you, make sure you subscribe to the network wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And, of course, when you're ready to go big or go home, don't go home, just head on over to the Pro. theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go get access to our awesome Pro Q&As. Last week's was a banger. You definitely need to check it out. Options, oddities, giveaways, real cool exclusives, true exclusives, and nobody else is getting. theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. As we learn who's joining us on this fine, fettled Monday. First, off to the hinterlands of Chicago, we are joined once again by the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management. And then we are joined a little bit farther afield from the shores of Maine by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I mention them now, listeners, because it's time to dispense with the pleasantries and get down to battle. It is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right, a little bit of non-licensed theme music in hand. Let's go out to the hinterlands here and the land of Uncle Mike, the man who pretty much needs to pitch a shutout for the rest of the year to retain that belt. Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw, sir, what color are you choosing today?
Well, since today is 10X for the points, I'm going to go with sports and leisure.
10X, yes. He was threatening when you were late to the show, Mr. Rock Lobster. He was threatening that he should get 10X points for the temerity and the umbrage of you showing up late. That was
yeah. I looked at the market and all of a sudden we went from green on the day to down 0.5%. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what I miss?
It was Uncle Mike. You were waiting for Uncle Mike. That's what it was.
I guess so.
Yeah, now we're back down again. So yeah, all kinds. You're right. I just got to refresh my screen. All kinds of fun getting on. We'll get there in a second, listeners. First, we get out to the land of, you said sports and leisure, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Hands on the buzzers, gentlemen. I do see your test, Mr. Rocklust. What is the most traveled sports team? I will give you the caveat. This was written in the 80s, and so probably a team that was more top of mind then than it is now, but still exists.
Buzz?
Go ahead, Mr. Rocklust.
Most traveled sports team?
Mm-hmm.
I probably like the Yankees.
That's not a bad guess. But no, Mr. Uncle Mike, can you steal?
I'm going to go with the Harlem Globetrotters.
What?
Oh, there you go.
What? Did you see the card when I held it up or something?
Dude, that was impressive.
How did
That's
you
a good
get?
one.
No, you guessed the Harlem Globetrotters straight up. Wow, that is wild. Where was this guy all year?
Meadowlark Lemon, baby.
Holy crap! Okay, inquiring minds must know. How did you arrive upon the Harlem Globetrotters, sir?
Because I thought the Yankees would be too easy. And then I was thinking if the Yankees are a very prominent team. But then I figured, okay, if it would have to be a baseball team or some type of team that would travel more. And the only team that would travel more than a baseball team, it couldn't be a basketball team. They have half the games. So it would have to be like a show team that travels year round. So that would mean the Harlem
Good logic.
Globetrotters.
I say that, but someone in our chat, Unlimited, he got it too. So 2 people guessed Harlem Globetrotters. I thought that was a
But
really
you know
hard
what? The
question.
Harlem Globetrotters don't have they never play at home. They're always
That's
on the
true.
road.
There are no home Harlem games for the Harlem Globetrotters that I am aware
I
of.
mean, they are the Harlem Globetrotters, but I don't think they have like a home Harlem.
Yeah, they
court.
still exist. I remember taking my kid to them when he was small, so they still do travel around. But the heyday of them was clearly in the 80s. They had people knew the names. They had Curly. They had all these guys. They were showing up on cartoons like Scooby-Doo doing crossovers. The Harlem Globetrotters were a thing in the 80s. They still exist today, but I defy anyone to name a member of the Harlem Globetrotters today. So a different...
The last one I remember was the bald guy. Wasn't he Curly?
That was Curly, exactly. Everybody knew Curly. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. They had crossed over into the public consciousness in a way that haven't done since. Hey, Uncle Mike, an impressive point.
And on the 10X day, too.
Yes, amazing. And got bonus points to our chat, too. They got it. I'm surprised. I thought that was a challenging one. Go figure. Harlem Globetrotters as we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show where we talk about surprise, surprise, what is trading? And man, a lot going on. I had to just hit refresh. That's another reason why sometimes it's a fool's errand to prep for these shows ahead of time, especially in these kind of markets, because we had it set up that the markets were looking kind of mixed earlier today. Then, right before showtime, they were all pretty much green. And so we had to adjust in our VIX cash. We had to adjust. And now hit refresh again, post a trivia challenge. And here we are off nearly 0.5% again. So it's wild stuff out there today. Off 0.44% in the Dow and the S&P, 0.45% in the NASDAQ. So weirdly symmetrical percentages to the downside today. So VIX cash before the show was at around 20 3/4. That puts it up 1 3/4 points from where we were on the Thursday show. So now we are up by right around 21.40 though, as we're coming out into this segment. So that puts us up another 0.65. So up about 1.9 points, nearly 2 points now. So VIX getting spicy out here, listeners, and the market's looking kind of wild. And this is not the first little bit of whipsaw action we saw today. We started off the day, flirting right around that 6,700 handle. Then we got into high gear, got up to 67.5. Then they took the legs out from it, sold it off below 6,700, not that far, 66.98. Then they knew the show was coming. Uncle Mike was coming. He called us Cabal Buddies. So they rallied it all the way back up to almost 67.5 again. And then as the show commenced, I think Uncle Mike was busy doing the show. He couldn't buy anymore. And now the show S&P has sold off back to about 6,700. So already multiple 50 plus or close to it handle intraday swing. Looks like 1, 2, 3, and now 4. So intraday, you're talking close to 200 points just back and forth. Another day, the meatball was arguing that these straddles, 0-day straddles, are underpriced. At least for right now, it's kind of hard to argue against that. You have a legion, a myriad, a litany of opportunities to get out on both ends if you're buying any type of premium right now, which again is kind of the dream Wild stuff out here, listeners. VVIX was at a 109 right before showtime as well. Let's see how that's hanging out right now. That's at a 111 now, so that has ticked up. So that was up 3 points before. Now it's up another 2 points. That puts it up 5 points from where it was on the Thursday show. So a lot to unpack there. But Uncle Mike, you are our surprise winner on today's trivia challenge. So if you have any thoughts on all things Harlem Globetrotters, have at it. B, speaking of winners, unfortunately didn't go your way on the weekend. A bit of a challenge out there this week. All I can say is welcome to Catholic League Blue in the Illinois high school ranks. Might be one of the toughest divisions in the country, and unfortunately my son's team has to play in it every week. It's fun. So you got a little bit of taste of that action. But so unfortunately, the dream season comes to an end, but a yeoman's try nonetheless. If you have any thoughts on that, by all means. And then C, what's catching your eye? And clearly a day when the moment your cabal pauses buying, we're down, sir.
Yeah, it was kind of rough this weekend. We lost our quarter. I mean, obviously, Brother Rice was a better football team than us, with the final score being 42-18. But we lost our quarterback early in the second half. Thought we could have made a run at him. We were down, I think it was 21-9 at halftime, and thought we could have made a run. But when you lose your quarterback, and all of a sudden, and we lost our tackle. So all of a sudden, when you have a quarterback out there that's never played any meaningful varsity football reps, and he's in with a backup tackle, and welcome to high school football kid, he's running for his life, and we need him to orchestrate a passing-based comeback. It's probably not going to happen. But they were a good team. My hat's off to Brother Rice, and so now in the semifinals, it's I think it's Brother Rice, Downers Grove North, and then on the other side of the bracket, Batavia and St. Rita. So there's a chance it could be an all-Catholic League state title game.
You've been asking for another crack at that Catholic League Blue for a while. I've been telling you for a while, careful what you wish for. Hopefully my son's team can drop out of it next season, because it is no fun going against world beaters every week. You want a little bit of a respite. So, yeah, interesting times, but I digress, sir. What's catching your eye in the market?
Yeah, I thought we had a shot this year, but like I said, it is what it is. But Harlem Globetrotters, can't say I know outside of Scooby-Doo and just watching some old Meadowlark Lemon clips from the Dire Straits video Walk of Life when he's spinning the basketball. I really can't say much about the Harlem Globetrotters, but they're very good at what they do. I don't think they've ever lost. So that's impressive. They always beat, I think it was the Washington Generals, I believe it is. But yeah, they're pretty good. And with regard to the stock market, yeah, I need to call some people and get some buyers, but maybe we'll have the option block effect, and the S&P is down 30 right now, so maybe we can get some buyers in there and have it get back to being positive on the day by the end of the show. We'll see, but I think right now the big news of what people are waiting for, I believe we have NVIDIA earnings, if I'm not mistaken, on Wednesday, so that is something to where the market will definitely, I believe it will have some movement on Wednesday after the NVIDIA, after the NVIDIA earnings, for better or for worse. Netflix, if you looked at your screen this morning and you thought that you lost 90% of your money on Netflix, fear not, it's just a 10-for-1 stock split. So make sure, if you have option positions going in that, make sure you understand what's going on with them. It's probably very simple. It's probably just a 10-for-1 split. But if you have any questions or concerns, of course, call 888-OPTIONS. Whenever you're in a situation like that, those are great people to call, in my opinion. Google doesn't care that the market is down right now. Google is still up $9 on the day. So, or I should say Alphabet, I'm sorry, force of habit. So Google is totally fine with everything. It's up 3% on the day. Tesla is up almost 2% on the day. So we do still have some of the high flyers out there that are doing what they do. We also have silver. So both silver's up slightly, gold is down slightly, so we don't have much of a move there. So this is very much what I would like to think of as a mixed market today, meaning we don't have everything going down, we don't have everything going up. We just we have more stuff going down than we have going up. And that's what's happening right now. And Bitcoin's down a little bit too, so that's always good.
Would you say there's more sellers than buyers? Is that what you would say, sir?
I'd have to confirm that with my co-hosts, but I think it's safe to say.
There we go, listeners. Deep and compelling insights. That's what you come to the option block for at the end of the day. Let's go out now to the hinterlands of Maine, where once again, he is grappling for life day to day with the clam pirates. He's got some other rapscallions lurking around his borders. It's a tense time on the shores of Maine. You know, barely incorporated. It's really barely part of the U.S. And that part of Maine, it's still 1650. They're still fighting for life on the shores there. Mr. Rock Lobster, why on earth did you move to such a forgotten wasteland and then be what's catching your eye in the markets today? So, like that setup?
Well, I kind of, you know what, I felt like I wanted to try living in a third world country with good roads. So that's why
there we go. And good foliage.
Yes, and nice foliage. But also too, ever since we got the chickens, we've been hearing like coyote howls at night. So I'm a little worried. Although at nighttime, it's not a problem.
You're unleashing the beasts, sir.
There has definitely been a little bit more howling around. So these are the issues.
You wake up at night, get the shotgun, honey. We got to go fight the coyotes.
I know. Well, at least the chickens at night are, they go in at like 3:00 now. We have to. Dusk is definitely hunting period for these critters. So they get, they want dinner too, I guess. As far as the market goes, I feel like, again, more sellers than buyers. I remember like a young trader guy in the late 80s, and why is the market down? Well, and what's funny is those guys knew then, and it hasn't changed much. I think, we're looking for, the stocks are what? We're a 3 or 4%, 3% from all-time highs. And you need some good news. I think the government shutdown, all it did was expose just how really not great. I don't know who was running the show.
How completely superfluous a lot of it is, yes.
Yes, and how much they spend. Like, okay, we're all taxpayers here. Like, what are we getting for what amounts to be a pretty large portion of everybody's paycheck every month? So, and I don't think anybody got a satisfactory answer after the shutdown. They're like, what are we doing all this for? So, I think most people's lives went on, except for people that work for the government. There's a couple things here and there, but anyway, so that was definitely, I feel like, a buy the rumors, sell the news kind of thing. And the news being that the shutdown was over. I think we peaked that day. I mean, near-term peak after hitting an all-time high a couple weeks before. So during the shutdown, and that's kind of my theory that, the business of the U.S. is business, basically. That's the way the country works. And, the government, everything it does is just tax dollars from business and entrepreneurial activity. So however people want to spend that, it's fine. But at this point, in order for stocks to go higher, you need some good news when things are trading at these kind of levels. Warren Buffett buying a piece of Google. I guess he's retired now, finally taking it easy at 95 or 96 or whatever he is. But funny that they kind of went all in on Google as they get out of Apple, which they still have a huge chunk of it, but they're starting to, but the diversification is just going into big tech. I even noticed they own some Amazon. So even Berkshire at this stage of the game is buying some big tech. And then lastly here, we haven't really had any real government data. There's a little, I guess the FinTwit of the day was yields in Japan are spiking. And again, it's the same problem here. It's the problem I think that that got Donald Trump into office was this idea of Doge and reducing government spending. And there was, I think a little bit more than the majority of voters wanted that. And I don't know about you, but I haven't seen it yet. The bill they passed and everything else. So I think there's a little bit of just kind of think they were suffering from a lack of momentum. How low do we go on that? I don't know. Overall, earnings have been pretty fantastic. I think it's due like an AI spend. I mean, Google's going to spend almost $100 billion. So that is still very bullish for investors. And just right now, I guess we'll see NVIDIA to kind of maybe lift some spirits at the end of the week. I remember Apple used to be the stock that lifted spirits. And, I mean, how much lifting can it do when it's got a multi-trillion-dollar market value? And same with NVIDIA. It's 5% of the S&P 500. So it's hard to believe that AI chips are a not competitive business. But NVIDIA right now owns the market, and we'll see what happens after earnings for them. So, but I think that's kind of what we're sitting on. We're sitting on a little bit of waiting for something to happen.
A little bit of waiting for something to happen, indeed. Are we waiting for something to happen in terms of options markets? Are they lighting up the tape right now? The answer is folks are definitely active in VIX land. Let's kick it off there, listeners. A little bit of intraday multiple 40-plus handle whipsaws in the S&P. That'll certainly wake you up, get you out of bed in the morning out here, and that's happening in VIX land. VIX literally can't be hanging out at 180, 250 right now. This is too much going on. 741, so closing in on 750,000 contracts right now in VIX land. That's more than we've seen in entire days recently, so that's pretty spicy. The ADV 941, exactly 200,000 contracts to go to hit that. Yeah, I think we'll get there unless VIX completely falls asleep in the second half of the session, which it has been known to do in the past, so I guess nothing is impossible. That would be highly unlikely, but that level of falling asleep. But we've seen wilder things out there. Speaking of wild things, what is the wild thing out there in VIX land today? Looks like it's about 36,000 of the Ds30s. Looks like it's part of a roll, maybe, or just a closing transaction against the Nove 29s. Those went up for a dime. The Ds30s went up for 97 cents. So they could be rolling. They could just be closing both legs. 29.30 is oddly tight. Looks like it's more of a roll, going out an extra month and buying another strike on top of it, or getting one strike less, I should say, on top of it at the end of the day. But either way, VIX looking pretty spicy out there. By the way, we thought we'd ask you folks, Ds30s, $1.02. Does that float your boat? And right now, 100% of you in the early, but it just went live a few minutes ago, obviously. 100% of you want to sell them. You're saying, sold to you, Ds30s. I get it. 9 times out of 10 in December, you don't want to touch anything with a 30 handle in VIX. This could be the one odd year where things get a little bit spicy, though. Well, I don't know if 30 handle for $1 is the way you want to go. I think maybe seller as part of a vertical. That's one of our choices here. Maybe the best, but hey, who am I to color the results? We'll see what you folks have to say, and we'll come back to it later this week. Out to SPY. Is SPY a banger right now? The answer is yeah, looking pretty robust. 6.36 million. Again, whipsawing 40 to 50 handles at a clip in the S&P will do that for you. The ADV almost 9.75 million, so SPY well on its way to hitting that. The S, 2.7 million contracts right now. It's pretty hot as well. The ADV 4.3 million. So the S looking pretty spicy. You know what? Let's just for fun. We haven't checked in on our old pal, the SPX, and see how 0-day heavy it is out there, listeners. And let's see. Right now we have, 20 for 20. All 0-day all the time. So if you come into the SPX, you best be coming to trade for it today, because otherwise they don't want you. They don't want your paper. Take your paper somewhere else. SPX is an all 0-day trading vehicle right now. And, seeing these intraday moves right now, who can argue with that? It's wild stuff. We got so many strikes here, and looks like most of them have been relevant, with the possible exception of 66.60 puts. I don't think we got there. But outside of those, I mean, all these strikes, you got, 66 half puts also trading today. So I don't think we quite got there. But, 66.90s, pretty darn close. 67.10 puts, all over the place. 67 half calls, you flirted with them. So, yeah, all kinds of wild stuff lighting it up out there today. Again, the SPX, what a just remarkable transformation has gone on in that product in just a few years, really. Just completely changed from the massive institutional insurance type pit to all of a sudden 0-day slinging, let them fly. Wild stuff out there. The S looking hot today. Small caps also looking hot. 1.1 million contracts on the tape for IWM against an ADV of about 1.8 million. So it has a good chance of hitting it unless things quiet down at the end of the day. The interesting thing about small caps, and if you've been listening to our hot options report, you know this. It's not all 0 day all the time. A lot of times it's been a lot of Nove and Dees downside puts that have been lighting up the tape. By the way, small caps selling off about 0.85% right now. So clearly in the red. And looking right now, it looks like we got some Dees 225 and Dees 226 puts lighting it up. So it looks like we got about 2, 4, 6, I want to say about 10. That's like about half. 50% of our top 10 right now in small caps. Not playing today. So small caps are not the place where you go to only play 0 day. There's a lot of other stuff going on, which makes them kind of fascinating in this 0 day obsessed market. There are still folks coming out and, let's say, buying Nove downside or buying Dees downside, which is, again, kind of wild. You don't see a lot of that, or you do see it in the SPX, but you really have to dig to find it. Go look at the options on the E-mini if you want to see a lot of noise. My God, there's put bombing for days out there. It's wild, but a conversation for another day. We keep on rolling out to the Qs. 3.75 million contracts in the Qs. Listeners, the ADV about 5.3 million contracts. So the Qs looking really hot. About 1.5 million contracts above where we used to expect them this time of the show. And that wasn't that long ago. I would say that was about a year and change ago, where they used to be averaging around 2.25 million this time of the show. So and things have gotten a little bit more active since then. But still, that is a wild number. And speaking of wild, the Qs, they're playing the 0 day game. 20 for 20. All 0 day, all the time. So refresher, if you're playing in the SPX or the Qs and you want anything other than today, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you want to play a little bit longer term, maybe small caps are your huckleberry. Let's go out to the single names. You know, these are the times, listeners, where sometimes things get so wild on the macro front that people forget that there are some things called single name equity options. But we have not forgotten here on the show, listeners. No, we have not. This gets us to our old pal, number 10, I should say. 299 on the tape. Number 10, our old pal, the Monster, a.k.a. MicroStrategy. Not looking as monstrous right now. By the way, it cost you about 300,000 contracts to break into the top 10 right now. 299 to be precise. Again, that gets us to our old pal, MicroStrategy. We've been looking at this one for a while with kind of skeptical hippo eyes, saying, can this perpetual motion machine, can it possibly continue? By the way, if you want a deeper dive into all this crypto action, stay tuned. After the show, we'll be back. Pro members, hang out in the chat. We'll be back with our good buddy, Mr. Greg. You can't keep him away from the crypto rundown on a week like this. We got a lot of vol, a lot of red, a lot of blood red in the crypto markets to talk about. So he'll be here to talk about it all. We'll talk about Solana. We'll talk about Bitcoin. Probably some Circle because it's Greg. All kinds of wild stuff. So stay tuned. Strap in for that if you are intrigued. A lot going on there. Uncle Mike, you don't need to listen. But strategy coming in today, 191 and a third, off nearly $8.50 or about 4.25%. So again, kind of rough as this selling intensifies out here in Bitcoin land. By the way, if you're wondering, Bitcoin way shy of the 100K level right now. I think it was around 93,000. Coming into the start of the show, I haven't checked it in a few minutes. Could be 5,000 handles away from that by now. But either way, wild stuff in MicroStrategy, aka strategy number 10. Number 9, Netflix. Uncle Mike just talking about them doing the reverse split dance, coming in with exactly 300,000 contracts for the number 9 spot. 110 and about a half, off about 2/3 of a point, or about 0.5% out there. Of course, Netflix, always kind of interesting when they do their reverse split dance. By the way, Netflix up on the past year about 30% still. So about 25 handles on this new split adjusted basis. So interesting stuff out here. They had a high of about 134 back in June of this year. So obviously they've come off their highs a wee bit. So maybe if they were patient, the market would have done the split for them. But they got ahead of it. Netflix, number 9, 300K. Number 8, Alphabet, the artist formerly known as Google. This is Class C, though, so this actually is Google. A 286.40, up about $9.50 or 3.4%. You probably heard the headlines by now. Combine your two favorite tastes that taste great together. Warren Buffett, always good for a nice pop in the stock. And Google/AI, usually good for a nice pop in the stock as well. Put those two things together, and you got this nice little pop out here in Alphabet, or I should say, right now I'm doing what Uncle Mike is talking about here. Alphabet Class C. to be precise. Hanging out right now, 286.10 or so, up a little over $9, about $9.15 out there. So a nice little pop for the artist formerly known as Google. Number 7, AMD selling off as well. 348 on the tape for number 7. 241.60 or so, just ticking a little bit. Off about 5 1/4, a little over 2, about 2.1%. So they've been coming for chips of late out there, AMD. Number 7. Number 6, Palantir. You know it's going to be in our top 10. The question is just weird. Today, number 6, 360, 171.5, off $2.50, or about 1.5%. Looks like they've already sold off to about 169 today before rallying a bit. So, you know, Palantir, they like a good whipsaw. Is today the day? We shall see. Number 5, the Fruit Company. Uncle Mike and the Rock Lobster both kind of talking about them. 267.80, off 460, or nearly 2%, about 1.75%. Sounds like maybe Buffett tiring of it a little bit. Who can argue? They've been up 100 handles since their stock buyback. Also, some talks about succession plans at the top. That's clearly maybe spooking some people out there today. Or at the end of the day, more sellers than buyers. Either way, number 5, it's the Fruit Company, 469. We're all the way at number 5. We're not even at 500,000. So, you know, it's a kind of a light day. Number 4, the other side of the alphabet saga. It's Class A, 285.90, up about $9.50. You know the deal with them. Putting up 486 on the tape out there as well for good old alphabet Class A. Number 3, the Amazonians, 232 1/3, off 2 1/3, or about exactly 1.1% to be precise out there, listeners. It's the Amazonians. Number 3, 524 on the tape for them. We're all the way at number 3, only at 500,000 contracts. Kind of wild. Kind of shows you how much of the market is really still in the top 2. It's just a question of their order. Today, it's number 2. It's NVIDIA. Selling off a little over $3, about actually just ticking, about $3.50 now, or about 1.8%. 186.70 is where NVIDIA is hanging out right now, putting up 1.3 million contracts. So again, NVIDIA by itself pretty much as much as the rest of the bottom half of the top 5 added together. So shows you just how much paper is going up in these names. And then number 1 with a bullet, it's Tesla coming back to life a little bit today. 1 2/3 million contracts, about 412, up about 760, or about nearly 2%, about 1.9%. So nice little bounce back for Tesla after they broke the par strike. They started out there today opening 398 3/4. So Tesla bucking the trend, even though they did get as high as looks like almost 424. So they have come off that pretty hard as well. So another one where if you want to play some intraday action, Tesla looks like it's delivering. We've been talking about this one a lot on our hot options report for a while as well. It's been just a bevy of upside strikes. 420s, 430s, 440s, 450s, 460s, lighting it up for the last couple of weeks out there. And most of it buying for pretty hefty premiums, and pretty much all of it going to die this week. We'll see or last week, I should say, if this is another week where they can repeat that. We shall see. Stay tuned to the hot options report after the closing bell to find out all that good stuff. Speaking of finding out good stuff, we're going to find out some more on the earnings front this week, including a whole bunch of big box retail right in time for Black Friday coming up, listeners. So Tuesday, Home Depot. Wednesday, Target, TJ Maxx companies. We got Williams-Sonoma. We got some name called Invita. I'm not really that familiar with them. We got Jack in the Box if you're into burger retail. Thursday, we got Walmart and Gap, so more, and Dress for Less, so a lot more on the retail front. We got Intuit as well, and then BJ's, keeping it on the, not quite more the wholesale side, but BJ's popping off on Friday as well. So if you were intrigued about all things big box retail, this is your week. Listeners, popping off tomorrow before the bell. Updated reports waiting for you on the website, listeners, because we like you. Home Depot, they were at 362 1/3 when we ran this report this morning. They were pricing in, get this, listeners, they were pricing in $14.50. In the past, they've moved shy of $8, $7.92. Either that is the screaming overpriced straddle of the century, or something's cooking in Home Depot, or perhaps a quarter fell off our rolling 12-month average, or 12-quarter average, I should say. That maybe was an outlier. That's possible, but that seems kind of wild. Maybe spend a little time investigating Home Depot heading into their earnings, listeners. Well, let's see if we see the same thing in Lowe's. And you know, the answer is kind of yes. Lowe's 19th before the bell. 227.85 is where they were as of this report. They were pricing in nearly $11, $10.86. In the past, they moved $5.79. My goodness. Is this just screaming premium time. I mean, we have been saying for a while, more juice is the right answer. This is a lot of extra juice, though. I have to go look and see. Maybe something has, in those two at least, maybe a quarter or a cycle fell off that was an outlier that's really changing, gumming up the works. Either way, that's kind of wild. Definitely maybe merits a little bit further attention from you folks on Home Depot and Lowe's heading into earnings. Let's go to Target really quickly. We're not seeing that for Target, so that's good. That makes me feel that something's not wrong with our data. About $90 when we ran this report. They were pricing in about $8, and in the past they've moved about $8. So Target kind of right in line with expectations. So again, that kind of raises the question: what the hell's going on with Home Depot and with Lowe's? That's kind of wild. Let's go out to TJ Maxx companies, TJX. They're 146 when we ran this report. They're pricing in 6.25. In the past, they moved $4. So over a 50% premium for them as well. Wow. Kind of wild. Let's go out to NVIDIA. They were at 190 when we ran this report. They're popping off 19th after the bell. They were pricing in about $13. In the past, they've moved a little bit shy of 14, $13.88. So about $1 less on their tape, which is kind of interesting out there. So again, kind of some wild stuff, which is, again, if you're trading anything around earnings season, you owe it to yourself to be checking out these reports, listeners. You can't beat the price. It's all free. You can't beat the data. It's some of the best in the game. The fact that we still give it to you for free, it's kind of wild. But hey, we like you folks out there. Walmart, 102.5, popping off 20th before the bell. They're pricing in $4.82. In the past, they moved $4.28. So nearly 60 cents extra juice out there. That could be merited given everything we're seeing out there and the uncertainty in the economy right now, but kind of interesting. Let's do Gap as well. Gap 20th after the bell. About $24 is where they were trading. They're pricing in $3.17. In the past, they've moved $3.16. So Gap pretty much exactly in line with expectations. So kind of a wild cycle, listeners, especially on the home builder retailer, call them what you will, whatever you want to call the contractor retailer, the Home Depots and the Lowe's out there. They're looking really wild. I might have to dig into those again. You can see all that for yourselves on the website. If you did that, you'd see the season hanging out right now at 110%. This current week looking kind of light, only about 2/3%, but again, it just kind of kicked off. So we'll see how all that is baking in. But right now, hanging out at 110% against our long-term average of 102%, as it's time for us to keep on rolling and get weird and get wild. It is time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Odd Block, the portion of the show where we get weird, we get wild. And does it get wilder, I ask you, than QGEN NV? This is a German multinational provider of assay technologies for molecular diagnostics and academic research. So there you go. It tells you all right there. Ticker symbol QGEN, QGEN. Trading 44.30, kind of unch today, so not a wild day for them. On the year, they're up a little over $2, about 2.15 or about 5%. Even though they've had some fits and starts, they rallied all the way up to almost $49 in January. Then they sold off again. March, they hit kind of their nadir for the year at 37.63. So they're kind of operating outside of that April 8th cycle that seemed to dominate the rest of the market. They're doing their own thing. And then they rallied all the way back up. It looks like they topped out for the year close to $52 in July 25th. Then they sold off to about 44, 43 in late September. Rallied again. They tried to October 24th, got up to nearly $50 again, about 49 and change. And then since then have kind of fallen off a bit. They got down to about $43 last week before gaining about a dollar back over the past week or so. So interesting run here for QGEN. And Mr. Rock Lobster, what did we spot out there today? Looks like we spotted somebody feeling their oats out here in QGEN. They said, you know what? Give me some more of that sweet, sweet upside. Potentially. We'll see. Looks like they came in and said, Feb 50s, how are they? And they got 55 cents at 90. They said, you know what, good sir? I will trade 3,001 of those bad boys for 79.1 cents on splits. So kind of a wild, weird market and kind of a wild, weird execution when you look at it. A total of a little over 6,000 have traded on the day, and the subsequent markets were kind of wild as well. So it does look like they probably bought them. Looks like a little bit later. Yeah, they were about 7 minutes later. The market was 85 at 95, so they probably did buy those bad boys. But interesting stuff out there. Mr. Rock Lobster, what are your thoughts on these Feb 50s in your new favorite, QGEN NV, sir?
QGEN NV, is that is what we have? Let's see. It is a European something or other, some sort of healthcare company. I don't think these are unreasonable calls to purchase. They're buying a lot of duration. The stock was $52 like only not very long ago. So I think they're betting on a little rebound. Because it does appear that they're, they paid up a little bit more for them. So I doubt if they wrote them. But yeah, it looks like this kind of looks like some kind of spec call buyer, just the stock getting back to where it was. It actually pays a dividend. Again, I don't, it's buying out of the money calls. I would, with 3 months to go, I think it's a reasonable bet. But we'll see if it actually pays. Reasonable though. Reasonable.
Mr. Rock Lobster likes these as a little bit of a nibble to the upside. You like these, listeners? You down for a little bit of QGEN Feb 50s? If so, maybe these are your huckleberries. We keep on rolling out to everyone's favorite CMC. No, not the only good player on Uncle Mike's fantasy team. Easy for me to say. Uncle Mike's fantasy team. But out to Commercial Metals Co. Ticker symbol CMC. As you might expect, they produce metals. Actually, they'd make rebar. So a very specific type of metal. Nearly $60, up about 80 cents. Or about 1.4%. So 59.80 is where they're hanging out right now. On the year, it's been kind of an interesting year, I suppose. A year ago, they were pretty much exactly where they are right now. So they kind of unched on the year, which is interesting. They did sell off in the big April fiasco, because obviously anything construction related took a hit then. Sold off to a little bit shy of $38, $37.92. And then once some of that sufficed, and once some of that kind of went the way of the dodo, they pretty much been straight back up again. Rallying all the way back up to about 61. Actually got up to about $64.50, looks like. Actually, that was back in December. So about $61 right now. Before kind of hanging out, settling out right around $60. So it's kind of been a tale of two tapes here for this name, leading into April 8th and then coming out of it. And right now, speaking of coming out of it, Mr. Rock Lobster, it looks like somebody thinks good old Mr. McCaffrey is coming out of here with some upside to the tune of D67.5s. They came in this morning, another kind of wild market. They said D67.5s, how are they? Stock $59, so a little bit lower. And they got 20 cents at 95. They said, I will trade 1,200 of these bad boys for 75 cents. Again, the stock has rallied, so I got to imagine they probably bought them, or they hope they did now. There are no earnings in this cycle. The next announcement is on January 5th. Looks like a straight up end of year roll of the bones on everyone's favorite Christian McCaffrey, a.k.a. Commercial Metals Company, Mr. Meatball, or I should say Rock Lobster. What say you?
It definitely looks like a roll of the bones. I mean, the stock hasn't been above $75 or 67.5. So, it could get there, but this it looks like an interesting, solid company making rebar. They make it in Europe, good product for building stuff, but buying out of the money calls. Either they think it's going to get bought out or it's going to make a new high. So it's a bold purchase. I'm just going to say that it is bold. With a capital BOLD.
Is there a more blue collar / salt of the earth thing than just making rebar? Honey, I'm going to work today to make rebar. I can see you got the black old school lunch box. You got the work boots on, got your hat. You're making rebar. It's a manly job.
Yeah, it is a manly job. You gotta, it's actually kind of manly when you drill a hole in a rock and you use some funky epoxy and you mount rebar into a rock. Anyway, for doing those kind of things.
Is that what you do to fight off the coyotes every night?
Well, you do it because you need to affix things to rocks when you have your rocks are moving around, the rebar kind of keeps them from moving too far. So anyway, I have a little experience doing manly stuff with rebar, but this is again, like buying out of the money calls in this type of stock is bold with your money, I would say. So they're looking for something new. They're looking for Santa rally, on steroids, I think, for this one.
Yeah, they need new all-time highs and then some, listeners. So if you're feeling quite manly, you want to strap on your work boots and sling some rebar, then maybe CMC is the one for you. But who's always manly, always willing to strap on the work boots and get his hands dirty? It's Uncle Mike. So let's get to the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the strategy block.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike. Inquiring minds want to know, how much rebar have you slung just since the start of this show? And then B, if there's any time left over, what do you got for us in the strategy block?
Sorry, you'll have to excuse me for a second. I got some rebar that I'm dealing with here.
You're always slinging the rebar, Uncle Mike.
That's what I do, baby. With that, first off, a salute to all of our blue collar workers out there. Society does need people that sling rebar by all means.
We all need the rebar, baby.
We do. We need plumbers. We need electricians. And yes, we need rebar. So my hat's off to all of you out there that are doing those things, because society needs you. With that being said, what I do want to talk about today is something that society also needs, and that is responsible option trading. So on a day like today, when the market has been up, the market has been down, the market has been sideways, or it has been flat, not for very long, but it has technically been flat for a little bit. It's important that you follow your rules of trading. So for example, one of the things that I did today, and I've talked about this on the show, this was just in a personal account. This was not with client money, but it is very important to do if I ever do this with client money too. I haven't had a put spread on. And so vertical put spread that I was short. And so when the market was higher, I was able to get out at my profit target. Now, whenever you're selling option premium, if you're doing it in a leveraged capacity, now this does not apply to a wheel trade, like if you're selling a covered call, you let it expire worthless, or if you're selling a put, you want to get into the stock. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you're doing some type of a leveraged option spread. My rule is that if I get in for $1, I want to get out at 20 cents. If I can get 80% of the potential profit, I want to get out. The reason for that is that if you hang on to that trade, it's like trying to squeeze a dish rag totally dry when it's wet. When you hold it over the sink, of course, a lot of the water is going to come out when you squeeze it, but it's never going to be totally dry. And in my opinion, that last 20% of the premium that's there, it's like trying to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. It's just not going to come out. So why bother with it? Put your trading plan to where when you can get roughly 80% of the potential premium, get out. And I got out today. And right after I got out, the market went down. Now, it always feels really cool when that happens, but that's part of my trading plan anyway. Reason being is that for the risk reward, there's other things that I can trade right now that have a greater likelihood of making money, as opposed to trying to squeeze every last drop out of that put spread that I was in. On top of that, the fact that I can get my goal of my profit and not have to take on that risk, that makes it even all the more exciting. So, what I'd want to recommend for a strategy for today is that if you are in short premium and it's a levered position, meaning you don't want to take delivery, then I think you need to have some type of rule of when to get out before just letting it expire worthless. Don't get me started on expiration risk and the things that can happen if you do think that it's worthless and then there's some aftermarket action in the stock right after Friday afternoon on expiration. So make sure you have an understanding of that. Make sure you have a rule. Some people think maybe 90%, some people maybe 50%, whatever the case may be. But don't go into settlement unless you're planning on or desiring to be settled. And that is my strategy block for today.
Good advice for all things. You said that about VIX all the time, but it applies to many more products. You know what else applies? The end of the show. It is time to go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Around the Block, where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on until our next episode. We also wrap up what's going on here in the markets. And, you know, I just re-racked my screens, and it looks like I didn't touch them since the start of the show. They're pretty much almost on. The Dow off slightly more, about 0.54%. The S&P and NASDAQ off about 0.5%, 0.49%, but not a huge change there. VIX cash hanging out pretty close to 21.75 still. So pretty much everything right now, the end of the show, pretty much the same as what we saw at the beginning of the show. In terms of action out there right now on our D30 calls and VIX for $1.02, 57.1% of you want to sell them right now. And then we have a tie around 14% for all the rest between buying them in a vertical, or selling them in a vertical. We'll keep that running all day long, just so everyone can have a chance to play, including people listening on the podcast. Uncle Mike might want to cover his ears because we're coming down to the end of our poll about the metals. He actually has one more day to go. We gave you a bonus day, listeners. And we said, hey, gold and silver, other metals have been on a good run this year. Can it continue? If you had to buy and hold options on GLD and SLV through the end of next year, 2026, which way are you going? We kept it simple, straight at the money calls or at the money puts. And right now, over 3/4 of you, 78.3%, want to buy them calls. Only 21.7% want to roll the bones on some puts. So kind of interesting stuff. Get over there at options, make your voice heard. Mr. Rock Lobster, are you down with that? You think the metals run can continue? And then what are you keeping an eye on until our next episode, sir? Oh no, he is so excited. He has muted. I think the coyotes are attacking as we speak. Mr. Rock Lobster, are you alive?
Yeah, there was a coyote attack, and the whales were so loud I want to upset the listeners.
Yes, the pod of whales that lives in your cove.
Yes. Gold has a way to run. We're looking for data, waiting for NVIDIA, but yeah, as long as apparently governments just think we can just keep spending money. So anyway, I think as long as that's going to happen, gold, everybody, the genie is out of the bag on that one. So that's what we got going. And those are, at least for this week, that's what I think that's what we got going.
Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you. Does this make you rethink your bailing on silver? Are you buying back in with both hands? And then B, what are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week?
I am not buying back in with both hands. We made our profit, and maybe if it pulls back a little bit, I'll start nibbling on it. But for right now, I'm enjoying the fact that we had a really big year with it. And then in terms of what I'm watching, just what Andrew said. We have NVIDIA coming up this week. And seeing maybe we can make another run at the all-time highs again. It's not out of the question by any means. We might get a Turkey Day rally, and then that's what I'm watching.
Turkey Day rally, indeed. Yeah, and some name called Invita popping off. Should be kind of wild out there, listeners. If you heard our good buddy Mr. Dr. Vix on Twifo last week, he made a trifecta of appearances last week. He was saying he thinks other nations are hoarding gold. And that's what you do in advance of a global conflict. So he's taking a very dire outlook on what the run-up in gold actually means and what is underlying it. I encourage you, check out Twifo if you want to hear more of his shall we say, apocalyptic musings. But as we go around the horn, Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, you got some free time on your hands. What are you going to be doing with yourself now that you no longer are game planning for line movements? And where should folks go if they want to take advantage of some of that free time, sir?
Well, by all means, check out my YouTube channel. Go to St. Charles Wealth Management on YouTube. Just put out some new content last week. Go to my website, stcharleswealth.com, if you'd like to have a conversation with an advisor who's not afraid of the option product. And make sure you tune in next week because my annual Thanksgiving Day joke is coming on the Monday show. That's
good stuff. You want to tune in for that. I will say, listeners, Uncle Mike did deliver last week after the show. He did dig up a copy of one play where both tackles pulled. So leave it to him. He is a man of his word, listeners. You can find out for yourselves. stcharleswealth.com is the place to go to learn more. Mr. Rock Lobster, where should folks go if they want to hear more of your musings on the dangers of wildlife and clam piracy, sir?
Yes, if they want to be flashed, come to optionpit.com, and we will be happy to set you up. We do all our own trades, and heck, we like making money, so this is a good place to go check it out. Optionpit.com.
Pay the man. He will flash you in a dark alley of your choice. You get to pick. He'll send you a map, and you get to pick your frequency. 5, 7, or 9 times, I believe. Optionpit.com is the place to go to learn how to make that happen. That's going to do it for us on the old OB. Back again in a little bit with our good buddy, Mr. Greg Magadini. You know he's going to have some stuff to say on all this blood red crypto action, so wild stuff. We'll probably have a lot to share on other names like Circle and stuff too, because he's been pretty interested in those, and they've been obviously selling off quite a bit of late. So it's been a wild time in crypto. Make sure if you're not checking out the crypto rundown, what are you doing? Another reason to be subscribed to the full network. Then it all comes at you. You get the full fire hose, and then you can pick and choose whatever you want to listen to. Then, of course, if you want to join us for a lot of fun deep dives, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Back again with our usual array of content until we're back again on Thursday. Flowmaster in hand, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.